Welcome to Coaching 101. I'm Grant Cohn. This is Coach Anthony Jana from Australia, and we're going to be talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, Tom Brady, and the 49ers in general, football theory in general. Anthony, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Grant. Fantastic. Good to see you. Actually, I only see Grant once a week, so it's kind of nice to see your face. I know you're super busy all week. So
it's nice to see you too. Every time I see you, your setup gets exponentially better. I like the background. I like the camera. I like the lighting. You're looking good.
Finally got the mic working. So I can't do much about the face. I've probably got a face for radio and a voice for print. People would probably say. But,
I like your voice. I like the Australian accent. Today I had a guy on from Wales. He was pretty cool too.
Yeah, anyway. They're difficult. Scottish, they're difficult to
that was
hear.
Tough. But he's actually here right now. I said it was his birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Gavin. All right, so let's talk. Let's talk.
Okay. Well, last week's show we sort of spoke extensively about Robert Saleh. So how good. Congratulations to him. I'm really happy for him. I think he got a 5-year contract. Which is fantastic for him and his family, and he deserves that opportunity. So that's a wonderful thing. I really liked hearing that news. Who knows? We talked about the 4 things you need to be a head coach, and he's definitely got the motivational part of it down pat. So we'll just see how he goes with the rest, and hopefully he does well.
Sounds like you got some questions.
And get some good support around him.
It sounds like you have some questions, though.
Well, like we said last week, we actually don't know. We don't know about his executive decision making. We don't know about his play calling ability, which is a key part of coaching. There's just some things that we don't know yet, but we're going to find out. And fantastic. Good on him.
Sure.
So looking forward to it. Now, speaking of executive decisions, I really loved your remember on the show 2-3 weeks ago we brought up the topic of making decisions and how important that is. And then during the week after that, you followed up brilliantly with actually digging up like the 36 things.
Yeah. And there could have been more. It was just the 36 I came up with.
No, there's plenty more along the way. But anyway, that was more than enough, and that would have been pretty embarrassing for the guys in there. But I've got a number 37, and I think it's the biggest mistake that they've made.
Okay.
And it's a bit left field. You'll never guess this.
Okay.
If I gave you 2 years to sit down and try to find this one, you'll never guess it. I've spoken about Grant and his ability to assess players early, which is really important. It's an important skill to have. It's something that Kyle Shanahan does not have. There's no doubt about that. And to me, I found Grant 18 months ago maybe, and wow, I love finding intelligent people along the way wherever they come from. And to me, if I were the 49ers, they've known you and heard from you longer than that.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, tell me, okay, now your YouTube has taken off and all that, which is fantastic. But if they had have put an offer to you to work for them 2 years ago, would you have been tempted to take that?
Tempted? I would have taken it in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
Exactly. So here's my point. I looked through your 36 errors that they made, and I counted 14 of them just in the time that I've known you, where the 49ers wouldn't have made those mistakes if you were in the organization putting into like.
So I see where you're going with this. You're saying that not hiring me was number 37.
Not hiring you was number 37, and it was a big one because it would have cut out about half of all the ones, to me, if I find smart people, I don't care who they are or where they come from or whatever, I'm bringing them in, because that's how you make the organization better. You want to bring the best people in. So I think that was 37, but actually the biggest one.
Well, thank you. Well, if I could toot my own horn for a second, I want to say that I'm not the greatest at scouting players, watching college film, watching college players play. That's hard. But I'll tell you, when I watch them on a practice field, in an NFL practice field, mini camp, training camp, I can see it pretty quickly. Anyone can see it pretty quickly. It's professionals playing against professionals. I'll remember in 2018, one of the first practices I ever saw Dante Pettis competed with the Niners. I was open-minded. I saw him alligator arm a pass over the middle, and that was all I needed to see because I'd been to 8 years of these practices. You don't see that in a professional practice. Professional football wide receivers don't do that. If you're at the stage in a non-contact practice, it's not going to work out. And that's ultimately why he failed. He's afraid of contact. I could see that right away. And I feel like some of these coaches just have, for one reason or another, won't allow themselves to see the truth.
Well, look, I'll give you the perfect example. One of the mistakes we made in last year's draft, and it's obvious in hindsight, but I remember at the time I was looking at it, and our first pick in the draft, and I really wanted an O-line. I didn't want a D-line. Okay, I didn't want Kinlaw, even though I like him. Fantastic backstory of his, which is really, really nice. But here was the thing. I didn't want a D-line. I wanted the O-line. I wanted Kristen Works. Yeah. But not because of him specifically, or Javon Kinlaw specifically. It didn't matter that, but because Grant I already heard the assessment from Grant, and I trust him, was Kerry Hyder, Givens, Street, all these guys, right? So I just looked at that and thought, well, okay, Grant's always right. He's never been wrong so far. And so I trust that those players are good enough. And I'm looking at the depth and I'm going, well, we don't need D-line anymore, and at that stage we still had Bosa, we still had other guys, Armstead, well, whatever. And so O-line was the problem. Now imagine what we would have been like this year if we had Williams on the left and say
Works on the right. My goodness,
Tristan on the right.
Yeah, so the two best tackles in the league, arguably. I mean, it would have been amazing.
It would have been amazing. So and the only way you can make that decision is if you can make really early assessments of
your own roster. Your own roster. They're always surprised by how good their depth is. Like Kentavious Street comes on the field and he plays just as well as Javon Kinlaw. Like, wow, who knew? Who knew we had this guy?
Yeah. So number one mistake from the Niners, not hiring Grant.
I appreciate it. I'm not going to argue with you on that one. I'll take it.
Good. You're not going to win.
All right. So what do you want to talk about next? Are we talking Jimmy G and Brady yet, or do you want to save that for later?
No. We'll save that. Let's go to some film just for fun because I want to talk playoffs. I thought the playoffs were really, really interesting.
Okay. Let's talk. Hold on.
Let's just go and we're just going to show 3 little plays. That is it.
All right. There we go. Let's do it. Here we go. First one. This is Cleveland, Kansas City. This is 1st and 10. What's the situation, first of all?
Okay, yes.
And now left in the first.
Exactly. Now here's the important bit because, like I always say, it's never what happens in the play.
Right.
I'm not concerned about that whatsoever because all I'm looking at, there's a number of possibilities. Mm-hmm. A number of things could occur. And I work out my percentages of what could occur in this moment, blah, blah, blah. So here's the way I'm seeing this is this was like a minute 50 odd left. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And here's the way I'm seeing this. Now, I'm really wondering, what is their coach thinking in this moment? I'd love a journalist to ask him the question, but I'm just wondering what he's thinking. And I'm guessing that he's thinking, look at the score. The score was like 16-3.
Yeah, they're down 13.
That's right. And yep. I'm guessing the coach is sitting there and going, we're down big time. I need a touchdown here. I really need a touchdown. You know, that kind of mentality. And I'm guessing that's why he's making this call. Okay.
Going empty backfield, passing. Yes.
And more importantly, the next two calls after this, right?
Okay.
Because they're similar. But here's the way I'm reading it. I put in my mathematical analysis, and what it tells me is this. It tells me that there's only less than 2 minutes left in this half. Okay. So the number one thing that I want, is it the touchdown? Actually, no, it's not. Not at all. The number one thing that I want in this moment is to run down the clock.
Yeah, not give the ball back. Yeah.
And make sure Mahomes doesn't get the ball. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Now, okay, so that's the first thing.
And then the points are secondary after that. Of course, you want to get the points as well, but you can't give Mahomes back the ball because it's counterproductive.
Yes. Now, further mathematics tells me that because of the score and because of the time remaining in the entire game, and because we've actually got the ball first in the third quarter, right?
Yes.
So when I calculate all that, it actually tells me that this lead that they've got is actually manageable, very manageable.
Of course.
As long as Mahomes does not get the ball in this situation, and as long as they do not add to that score, I want to make sure they stay at 16. Okay.
Right. Yep.
So let's have a look and see what happens. And I'm just wondering what the coach is thinking.
Well, first of all, before the play happens, it's empty backfield. They're telling you it's going to be a pass. And since it's only 5 blocking, it's going to be a quick pass, probably to this tight end right here. Let's see if he catches the ball. Anthony turns around. He's open. The pass is late and high.
Exactly. Yeah. Now that happens, right?
It happens. It's hard to execute a pass play.
That happens if you take that shot, right?
Yeah.
But remember, my number one thing, I want to run down the clock.
Right.
So how much time off the clock here with this incompletion? Nothing.
And another thing, Anthony, I mean, this is more technical than you like to get into, but the throw they're attempting is like a 6-yard gain. The guy runs, takes 2 steps, and turns around. Just hand the ball off if that's all you're going to really try to get. Look at that.
Yeah, that too, but
that's all you're going to get.
That too, 100%. But more importantly, think about it. I'm coaching. I'll put myself. I'm coaching the Browns, right? And here's the way I do it. I've got Nick Chubb. I've got Kareem Hunt. They're averaging 5.3 yards a carry. I'm at midfield. I want to run down the clock. I've got the perfect weapons to do that. Why am I making this call? This is actually the wrong call.
Right.
This is the wrong play call any way you want to look at it. Okay?
Again, there's no deception. You're telling them it's a pass. These defensive linemen don't even have to worry about there being a run. There's no running back in the backfield, no play fake. One of these offensive linemen is going to get beat inevitably, and it's this one. So it just makes it easy to play hard.
Yeah, the big thing for me, I don't talk about it too much, but the big thing for me on the whole offensive setup is about the disguise. That's actually the most important, because you want to confuse the defense. So
you want to honor both, not just say, okay.
So as soon as I see something like the quarterback and the running back standing right next to him, clearly about to block, I'm thinking, it's not going to fool anyone. So stuff like that.
So let's go to the next play. Now we're second and 10, and you stop the clock. Now it's 1:48 left.
Now this was the problem with not running the first time, because now you're in a 2nd and 10. Right. So now you're not controlling the game. It's almost coming out of your hands to a position where you have to throw. I always want to be, as a coach, always want to be controlling the game, not the game controlling me.
Right.
So here, show what happens.
Now you got to throw. Good point. You can't run there. No one's open yet.
Yeah, now but he gets open.
Throwing a long pass.
Actually, it wasn't that open, but look at the pass.
Hell of a pass.
How good is that?
It's a great pass. Nice, good quarterback, that Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Oh, Baker's fantastic. Now, here's the problem, though. This is the wrong call. I don't care that it was successful. I don't care whether, because there's always those possibilities. It could be incomplete. It could, what if cornerback actually got to that?
What you're saying is this is a low percentage play, and the fact that it hit was like, okay, it had like maybe a 37% chance of working, and it hit. But still, if you run this play 100 times, it doesn't work out. 65% of the time.
I really like Nick Chubb, but both their running backs phenomenal. So I've got the weapons. I'm going to use my weapons. I'm not going to at midfield risk a turnover. I mean, he could throw a kick. That's a possibility. So anything's a possibility here. What if that corner stepped in front of him, took the ball, and ran it down the field for 7? I mean,
what if the pass was just like 6 inches behind the wide receiver?
Exactly. Now have a look at it this way. He's caught that reception, and people will look at it and go, oh yeah, fantastic. But
great decision, perfect decision. Yeah.
He's caught the reception, right? And then what happens? Like straight after that, he goes outside the line, right?
Yep.
Stops the clock again.
Stop the clock again.
What's my objective here? Run down the clock. Don't let Mahomes get the ball.
Right.
That's the number one. Now, watch the next play. The next play is really interesting.
Guy runs out of bounds. Unreal. Okay. Next play.
So you're stopping the clock, right? But disaster.
All right, next play. And this was the most fascinating play of the game.
That it was. So in the moment, again, what do you think I'm calling?
A run. You got 142 left. That's too much time. And you're on the 26. You actually want to kill time here. You want to wait.
I actually do not want to score a touchdown right in this moment.
I'm just saying, as a guy who covered Harbaugh and Greg Roman, I remember they would routinely waste time in the red zone if they had a minute and a half left. This is basic.
Yeah, and the thing with this one, I've got a guaranteed 3 points.
Yep.
And I don't want to lose that opportunity, no matter what. Anything could happen. We could have a pick, or anything could occur, and something interesting did occur, didn't it? But it never should have happened. This situation never, ever should have happened. And it's not the players. It's not the quarterback. The quarterback completed the throw. It's not the
wide receiver got open.
It is always the coaching. And
the defensive guy made a good play.
Yeah, and I watched all 4 games. It was coaching, play calling in all 4 games.
Yeah.
That cost the team that lost all 4 games.
Again, the point with when you throw the ball, any number of things can happen that ruin the play. One of the 5 guys can miss a block. The quarterback's throw could be off by 4 inches. The wide receiver could drop it. The wide receiver could fumble. All those things.
All these things. They could get to the quarterback. He could get a fumble, or it could just be a sack. But all of a sudden, you're out of field goal range or whatever. And I've done the mathematics for the entire rest of the game, and I've worked out that even if we get 3 points here, I'm actually quite happy with that. That's 16. That's 16-6. Yeah. So they've got a 10-point lead. Yes. But I've got the ball I've got the ball first in the second half. That's one thing. And I can get back into the game, because when you have too big a lead, something happens. It's called scoreboard pressure.
Yeah.
Okay. And the scoreboard pressure takes the control away from me.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
I don't want that.
Right.
Now I got
to. Yeah.
It's a big thing, and I'll show you something on that in a minute. So what happened in that play? I mean, you saw what happened, okay? And so we missed out on the 3 points.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. We missed out on the 3 points. So we would have got 3 points. Yeah. And if we just did the run game and ran down the clock, we would have been the only ones with 3 points.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Instead, that happened, right? It was play calling, coaching play calling. And so what happened was Mahomes got the ball with 1:30 left and 2 timeouts. Now, interesting, Kansas actually stuffed up with that drive, with their coaching, and they only ended up using one of the timeouts. They actually could have scored a touchdown in this moment, right? In this minute and a half. But anyway, they got the 3 points. Okay?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Grant, here's the interesting thing. So we missed out on a guaranteed 3 points. And then because we gave the ball back to Mahomes, he got 3 points. So that's a 6-point turnaround, right?
I would say so. Yes.
What was the final margin?
What was the final margin? 5. Yeah, there it is. 5 points. 22-17.
By a point potentially.
Yep.
So
that's it. So these little things win and lose you games.
Same as last week. We showed last week the Colts, how they missed out on that 3 points. They made a coaching error. So it's play calling. It's always play calling. In pretty much every game I ever see, it's play calling. Because it's a 53-man roster, you have some good players, some not so good players. This team's got some good players, some not so good players. Blah, blah, blah.
There's parity in the NFL. There's very little margins of difference.
Yes. You've got a salary cap. Everyone gets paid the same. All of that stuff. Yeah. The only differential is the coach.
Right.
The only differential is the play calling. Put your players into positions to be successful, and that's not what's happening in the NFL. And that's what happens. And unfortunately, the Browns missed out, and they could have easily won that game. And the interesting thing, their first drive. Remember, I talked about they get the first drive in the second half, right? Mm-hmm. They took the first drive, and I don't know if you remember it, but they took the first drive, and now the score is 19-3.
Yes.
The differential is really high.
Yes.
So what happens is there's a scoreboard pressure on you as coach now, so you're now forced to make riskier decisions than you need to.
Correct.
Well, what happened? They called a throw. Baker got picked off immediately, and Kansas got the ball.
It snowballs.
That should not happen. It snowballs, exactly. And that's why when I did the mathematics and I worked out the thing, I thought, okay, all we need is 3 points here guaranteed. We have to have 3 points. We have to make sure they don't get more than 16. And if we get through with Chubb or something and we get the 7, even better, because then it's 16-10, and we've got the ball first. I'm going to get it down the field, get a touchdown, and suddenly the Browns are 17-16, and it's all beautiful. I'm in control of the game again.
And what you're talking about is situational football. What the Browns found themselves in was a situation where they were down 13 in opponent territory with the ball. And it doesn't matter what you think you want to do. You have to understand the situation. The situation is the worst case scenario is you go into halftime down 10. The worst case scenario.
Yes.
Nothing else can happen worse than that. And you have to make sure that nothing else happens worse than that. If you get the touchdown, great. But you get the touchdown while making sure the Chiefs don't get the ball back, while making sure you give yourself a chance at the field goal.
Yes.
And if you just don't get that touchdown, well, that's okay. You got 30 minutes left and only a 10-point deficit with the ball to start the second half. That's actually managing a game, and that's the kind of thing that actually Jim Harbaugh could do.
Managing the game. Yeah, managing the game. So I just wonder what was in the coach's mind, because the plays that he called, and there were a couple of chunk plays, right? Now, that's telling me you're trying to score a touchdown as fast as possible. That is the worst thing you want to be doing in that situation.
Yes.
Right? Wow. So I don't know, the Browns, maybe they should have left him in the basement.
Well, again, it comes back to these coordinators who are overpromoted, and they become head coaches because they have good ideas and play designs, but they haven't demonstrated that they make great decisions under pressure in the biggest games in their life. And what we learned about Kevin Stefanski is that he doesn't. So,
yeah, and the thing is, it's not only Kevin, it's not only Kyle, it's an industry-wide thing, and I'll give you the really interesting game that I found was the Saints Bucks, yeah. Sure. And in that game, it was 13-13 at the half, right? Really fascinating game. Mm-hmm. But here's the interesting thing. I watched the Saints, and in the first drive that they did, and I keep some notes and I keep a record, right? Mm-hmm. And what I'm doing, I'm watching their first drive, the Saints, and I'm like, wow, excellent play call, brilliant play call, brilliant play call. I'm always looking at what's the play call, right? Mm-hmm. And brilliant. And guess what? They got the 7 points, of course, because it's the play call. It's not the players. It's the play calling. So you do the right play calling. They got 7 points, right? And then what happened? I forget. Brady got it. Whatever. But they're up now 20 to 13. Okay, the Saints. Now, the next two drives, the very next drive for the Saints, I'm thinking, ooh, I'm going to see some more good play calling here. I'm looking forward to this. And I see the first play call. Bad play call. Second play call. Bad. Third, bad. And of course, they got no points. And then they have the next drive after that. And again, bad. And again, no points. That's where you lost the game. But right. I was really expecting, because I saw such fantastic play calling in the first drive of the second half, when they went up 20 to 13, I thought the Saints are going to do the same thing again and they're going to win this game easily. But no, they stopped doing that. So it wasn't that Brady won. Brady didn't win this game, actually.
Peyton lost it.
So it was all 4 games. It was the Colts game last week. The Rams were actually really bad with their play calling in this last game. And Green Bay were actually brilliant. Very interesting play calling and very interesting compared to the way they were playing last year. They're playing a very different style of game, and it's correct. Last year in the NFC, they weren't playing the right game style. So I'm kind of high on them.
Who's taking control of that franchise? Aaron Rodgers.
Sorry?
You know who's taking control of that team and that franchise? Aaron Rodgers. He's doing everything.
Is he? Well, I mean, possibly. And that's the thing in an organization. I don't care who it is.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter who it is. It's like, and it's everyone. And
I think real quick, what these coaches are learning is now that these quarterbacks are playing into their late 30s and early 40s, a lot of these quarterbacks are more experienced and older than their head coaches. And with guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, get out of the freaking way and let them run the team. Get out of the way. They know more than you. And you know what? Yeah. Back in the 80s, these quarterbacks called their own plays anyway. It's not totally unheard of. Let them do it. And that's what Bruce Arians does.
Yeah. Look. I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, it makes sense.
Certain quarterbacks have earned it. You know what I'm saying?
Certain quarterbacks can do it. Yeah. But you want to imagine in some fantasy land where I'm coaching, what I'm wanting to do is give the direction. When it's a quarterback like that, when it's a Tom Brady or whatever, I'm wanting to give the direction of what I want. Same as in that play with the Browns, right?
Right.
I'm happy to let the quarterback control it. That's fine. Yeah. But I want to give him a guidance. I want to let him know exactly what I want to achieve in this moment. And what I want to achieve is let's run down the clock. Don't go out of the boundary. I want everyone staying in, right? I want that 2 minutes run down. And then when the opportunity arises, we'll take a couple of, because I've still got timeouts up my sleeve. And I'm going to take a couple of shots for the 7. But when there's super low risk, when there's no risk whatsoever, I'll take a couple of shots, and I'll take them specifically. I won't reveal it on this show, but I've got a specific pattern that I've developed, which tells me exactly what type of a pass to call. So, and it all comes down to mathematics. It's not it's all that. So it's not. Are you going to talk
to G and Tom Brady yet, or are you going to make the people wait?
Wow. Tom Brady. All right. So what did we say on our thing?
What did we say on our thing? I'll remind you. You said Tom Brady versus Jimmy G. Surprise view. Jimmy G is better than Tom Brady. Trust me, I have a point to make. So let's hear it. What's your point?
All right. Jimmy G is better than Tom Brady. He's younger. He's better. He threw for 4,000 yards. He's got a winning ratio. Blah, blah, blah. No, he's not. No. And if I try to say that with a straight face, well, they'll lock me up with Jack Nicholson in the Cuckoo's Nest. I guarantee you they'll throw away the key, because and if anybody said that right now, especially right now, you would have to say they're mad. True?
Yeah, but everyone said that last year. Everyone said that last year.
Exactly, and that's my point.
Yeah.
Except, who was it that very first said, get rid of Jimmy, bring in Tom Brady? Who was the very first person that I heard say it?
Me. It seemed like a no-brainer.
This guy. Am I thinking the right way?
I know it's the other. No,
it's reverse.
And I got universally booed out, like shouted down, like "Shut up!"
Exactly. Yeah. Now, here's the thing with Jimmy. There's a couple of things. Yeah, I've heard all the arguments, and I don't get them. Because look at it this way. What do they say? He threw for 4,000 yards. Well, did he? Not from what I saw. Against the Saints, he threw the ball across to Kittle. My 13-year-old nephew could throw that.
Hold on. He came up 22 yards short. He threw for 3,978. So, no, he didn't throw for 4,000 yards anyway.
Well let's be nice to him.
Okay.
But here's my point. I watched every single game, and I don't care about stats. Stats is often deceptive. It doesn't give you the true facts.
Right.
And so what I look at with that particular play is he's thrown it to Kittle, which, I mean, anyone could do that, right? And Kittle's run at 40 yards down the field with 3 guys on his back. Kittle got the 40 yards. That I don't.
No,
count
it was all
that.
Garoppolo, Anthony. It was all Jimmy.
Yeah, I don't count.
He gave Kittle the motivation to do that. He gave him a pep talk.
Yeah, I don't count that as Jimmy's yard. When the second game against the Jets, when Jimmy tossed it over to Mostert and Mostert ran for 80 yards.
Yeah,
that's not a quarterback. That's not,
right.
Maybe he got the 80 yards on his stats, but that's not true reflection. Now, you look at Tom Brady this year, he's like thrown for over 5,000, I think he's already done. But they're real yards. They're beyond the scrimmage. They're real. That 4,000 was not real. It was just a mirage, right? So that was crap. Then you look at his win-loss ratios that they love talking about, right?
That was crap,
Yeah, and I look at that and I go, okay, we were 8-0 at the start of the year. That was all defense. That was all Nick Bosa hunting down their quarterback and stuff like that. And then Kittle played fantastic all year except for the couple of games he missed. Then you got the second half of the year. You had Deebo Samuel's come into his own. He needed a bit of time to get used to the system. Then you had Mostert started running. You had all this stuff. And then you had, and Grant, in your article, in your article, recent one, you said there was a line in there where I think it was a slip of the pen or the keyboard. You said, yes, 2019, Jimmy Garoppolo led the Niners to the Super Bowl. Well, I read that, and
he was riding in the caboose. He was leading from the trunk.
Yes, you know, the defense, the other guys on the offense, all these other pieces. Actually, Jimmy didn't lead us to the Super Bowl. We took Jimmy to the Super Bowl.
Right.
We took him to the Super Bowl. Right.
Correct.
So you know, and it's all about languages, and that's why I'm not a big fan of languages. I haven't really mastered the English language as much as I'd like.
Well, you got time.
But yeah, I'm still going. You know, Grant's English lit, so I can't compete with that. You know, but I like mathematics. I prefer mathematics. It's pure pattern recognition. Right. It's precise. It's accurate. You know, 2 and 2 is 4. It will always be 4. You cannot argue anything other. So
that's exactly why I don't like math. I don't like that.
You're probably good at Italian as well, are you?
No.
Really?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I took French for years in school, and I can't understand that language. People, they speak too quickly and they don't open their mouths. But I could pass the tests, the written exams. I just can't speak it or hear it. So what was the point?
Oh no!
What was the point? I don't know.
I can't believe Grant's part Italian, and
I can't do it. No, I just have no ear for languages. It's terrible.
Yeah, no parlo italiano. Yeah.
No, I don't.
So that, you know, so that's the thing, and you know, so I look at these stats. I look at the win loss, and it's not real. I look at
real quick before we move on. I got a stat for you. Jimmy's last 7 starts, lost 4 of them. Lost 4 of them. 3-3 this year. Lost in the Super Bowl. I'm just saying his amazing win-loss record is kind of a thing of the past. As to your point.
It was never real. It was never real because you know, and I keep referring.
It wasn't him. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't him. It was all these other things that were going on, and he just came along for the ride. He was basically in the back of the bus. So that's fine. You know, but you've got to, as a coach, you've got to recognize this. You've got to really understand this. How can you get it so wrong? How can you?
And the thing to me is, I think they recognized it. I think the reason they called only 8 passes against the Packers is because they recognized it. But how can you go from that to 2 months later telling Tom Brady, sorry, Tom, you're just not good enough to replace Jimmy G? That's where cognitive dissonance comes in, and they lose me. Yeah, I understood what you were trying to say in the NFC Championship game. Now follow through and get Tom Brady. I don't understand the disconnect.
Yeah, and to me, it's always I keep referring back to that week 10, 2019. Okay, and you know we just won 8 in a row. This was such a critical game. We're playing at home. We're playing Seattle, and if we win this game, we're pretty much locked up top spot. There's nobody going to catch us. Okay? This was a critical game. Okay. Now, if you look back at that game, here's what I see. We ended up 24-24. Okay, and there was some bad
overtime. Yep.
And there was some bad play calling. We already showed that. Okay, but let's disregard that for a second. But if you think about it, there was. We only got 2 touchdowns, I think, from memory out of those 24 points, and the rest were like field goals. There was like an extra point on one of the touchdowns, something like that. But but anyway, I think we only got 2 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns was the Buckner pickup. You'll remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, they caused the fumble.
Yes.
Buckner picked up. He ran into the end zone. That was one. I forget the other touchdown. Let's even give it to Jimmy. Whatever. You know, but. Here's the thing. Seattle got 3 touchdowns. That's how they got their 24 points. They got 3 touchdowns and a field goal.
Yep.
Okay. Now, did Russell Wilson get those 3 touchdowns? Actually, if anyone wants to go back and look at that game, actually he did not. Russell Wilson did not beat us that day. he did not get the 3 touchdowns. Do you know how the 3 touchdowns happened?
Tell me.
First one, Jimmy G fumble. Second one,
Davey Clowney.
Yeah, second one, Jimmy G pick.
Yep.
Third one, Jimmy G fumble. Jimmy G got all 3 touchdowns for the Seattle Seahawks in that game.
That's true.
Now, so you've got to look deeper than statistics. You can't just look at end of season and go, oh, he threw for 4,000 yards. No, that's not what happened. Yeah. So this was a complete and utter miscalculation, misjudgment, complete disaster. And Tom Brady was a no-brainer because think about it. You bring Tom Brady in, you're only bringing him in for two years. That's no big deal. I know he's older. You know, the whole discussion was, oh, he's too old, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but he's better.
Also, if you sign him, you draft Tristan Wirfs because you want to protect him, and that's what Tampa did. You sign him, he brings Rob Gronkowski and Antonio Brown with him.
What a bonus! What a bonus that would have been. You know, and actually the funny thing, I know a lot of people were negative, but I was really big on Antonio Brown. I actually wanted him at the Niners, like, you know, mid-season.
Well, hold on. The way I looked at it is he would have eaten Jimmy G a lot for breakfast.
Possibly.
But if you have Tom Brady, it works. He respects Tom Brady. He falls in line. We've seen it right. We're seeing it right now.
Yes. So it's all of that. And then, you know, and then look at the merchandise sales. How many number 12s do you reckon would have been sold, you know, at the Niners? So I mean, it's crazy. The decision, the executive decision there was, you know, and here's my final point. You're going to like this, Grant. Well, you said you don't like mathematics, and I know that because I saw your tweet where you worked out that that Jimmy G is only $2.5 million per start.
Per start.
Yeah, I didn't like that. If you ever get a chance to study statistics or any of that kind of stuff, that you know, there's all. I won't go into it, but there's all this stuff on mean and all this. And what happens is you to get a true average, you need to take out exceptions, right?
Sure.
And that's why I took out his rookie year. I'm not including those 6 games, and I'm not including his rookie contract because that was like $600,000 or some crap. So not crap, good money for some. So I'm not including that. Right. Very important. Unless he didn't want to do that contract, unless he wanted to continue playing on rookie salary, right. In which case, Jimmy, stay on, fantastic, and I wouldn't be making this analysis right now. Okay. Right. So any way you calculate it, it's about, well, I said 4 million on that show, but you know, I was just rounding off. It's actually works out like exactly like 3.79, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But pretty much 4 million by miles.
I knew I was going to get that wrong. I knew
by miles, the most expensive quarterback in the entire NFL, by miles, not even close. Okay. Now here's the interesting thing. Let's look at that option. So say we traded Jimmy for a first-round pick to the Patriots. I mean, I'm still mystified by that, you know, by the Patriots. But whatever, you know, I'll take it. And we take on Tom Brady. Tom Brady's only on 25 million at Tampa, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think he may have even played for less because the Niners were his preferred option.
Yes.
So he may have even played for less. But anyway, let's go with 25. Doesn't matter, right? So 25, and he's in the NFC Championship game right now. Instead of who? Green Bay are in there just like last year.
Yeah, but the Niners are out because they stuck with Jimmy.
Exactly. Exactly. Now here's the thing: you look at that situation. You're offloading Jimmy's contract, and you're taking Brady's, which cost you nothing. That cost you nothing. Fantastic. So here's the interesting thing. Tom Brady's effectively played 19 games. If he gets to the Super Bowl, it'll be 20. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if he's getting 25 million at Tampa, that means he's on about, what's that about? Well, let's say 19 games. He's on about 1.3 million a game.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right. Yep.
Jimmy G had 6 starts, you were saying?
Yep. 26.9 million.
6 starts, but hang on. I look at it more closely. I never just look at the raw facts. Okay. He actually played 2 half games, and
True.
so he played 4 full games and 2 half games. So he actually played 5.
Yeah.
So 5 games.
Yeah.
27 million.
Yeah, that's more than 5.
We're looking at about 5.4 million a year, a game.
And he only won 3, so you're looking at about almost what?
Compared to Tom Brady,
8 million a win, almost more than 8 million a win. Math.
I want Tom Brady. Any way you calculate it, I want Tom Brady. Any way you calculate it. Now, I'm just going to take it one step further, Grant, if I can. Okay? We had a 6-10 record. Imagine if Brady was there and we were like 11-5.
That's right.
Or 12-4. Our defense was killer. And our defense was awesome. And
it's easy to calculate Brady's value. Brady and the Patriots were 11-5 in 2019. Yes. He leaves. Cam Newton replaces him 7-9.
Yes.
4-game slip. So I mean, if the Niners had Tom Brady, you're looking at 10 wins at least 10 wins.
Yeah. And here's the interesting part. Okay, so on the cost side, it's a no-brainer on the cost side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. On the revenue side, what's the difference between having a 6-10 year and having a 12-4 year and going into playoffs and all the rest of it? What's the difference in merchandise sales? What's the difference in sponsorship? What's the difference?
It's massive.
Now,
it's massive.
I'm thinking this decision, like just before the show, I popped outside to just get some fresh air. And my next door neighbor was outside, out in his front yard having a cigarette, right? So, I said hello, and I found out for the first time that he saw my hat, and I found out for the first time that he's actually a Niners fan.
That's funny.
Right? But he doesn't watch them anymore. He used to watch them. He doesn't watch them anymore. He hasn't watched them for years. And that is the difference between winning and losing. You need to be winning. Okay?
Yeah. Otherwise, there's no reason to watch them.
Yeah. So to me, I'm not privy to the books. I don't know the exact financials of the 49ers, right? But I suspect that executive decision, whoever made it, has cost the 49ers $100 million plus.
Right.
That's my gut feel based on win-loss, going to the playoffs, not going to the playoffs, all of that. So that executive decision, and
if I were Jed York, I would have those numbers. I would have been like, guys, you don't want to have Tom Brady. Okay, explain why, and then we come back a year later and say, okay, this is the decision you made. This is the amount of money we lost because you were wrong. And I'm not saying I knew. I'm just saying that was your job to make the decision, and you're wrong, and this is what you cost us.
And the thing is, like I follow a lot of sports, too many actually. But look at any sport. Look at like professional soccer. You guys call it soccer, I think. Professional soccer in England, EPL, right?
Yeah.
Those teams, if they have a 10-win season, or an 11-win season, or a 12-win season, they know the exact dollar figure difference between a 10-win season and an 11-win season. Just one game difference. They have it worked out to the millimeter. That's why their player transfers are like $1 billion and stuff like that. So they need their mathematics to be spot on. And you would be hoping that the 49ers are doing similar type mathematics. So that was a massive call. That was a massive error.
Yep.
Right. So
not just for wins and losses, but for the bottom line for the entire franchise.
Massive, because my next door neighbor's not watching you guys.
Right. And he would be. He would be.
And he would be. So that's the thing. And the final thing I want to make is this. If I'm Jed York, he must already know. Yeah. But if he doesn't, I would want to know this. This is my number one question. Who ultimately made that call? Yeah. Who made that decision? Who pulled the trigger? Who or didn't pull the trigger? Who ultimately made that assessment? Why did you make it? What was your rationale? And if it was just words, if it was stuff like, Jimmy's a bit younger, but he's broken down. It's like having a new car. It's like having a new Ferrari, but it's constantly in the shop because it's broken down. Well, who cares if it's new? So I'd rather have an older vehicle that's in like mint condition and working perfectly. So I would be asking who made this decision, the rationale behind it, the whole thing. It was a massive error. It's just cost me $100 million. I know I'm fairly loaded, but I don't like dropping 100 mil. Sorry. Yeah. And here's my final determination. If I'm Jed York. Yep. If I'm Jed York.
Yeah. Right. I'm saying whoever made this decision shouldn't be having executive decision-making power on that level anymore. We got to get someone else there.
From now on, not a single executive decision from you. I'm sorry. No more. That is it. That was too expensive. That's too big a call. We can't afford that. I'm getting Grant in. I'm getting Grant and Anthony in. They'll fix. Right. They'll sort out all this crap. And,
I would have told them to hire Tom Brady. I would have been right. I would have made Jed York $100 million, and they'd be playing this weekend. But they got to figure out now. They're in the Plan B stage.
Yeah. They're in a disastrous stage, in an absolute shocker of a situation, and that's what happens. It's
honestly Robert Saleh's in a better spot than Kyle right now because Robert Saleh has a blank slate and the number 2 pick and $80 million in cap space, and Kyle has the mess he created.
Yes, and it's sort of like
B Ford, Eric Armstead.
Oh my God! And out of your list of 36, right? Yeah, I looked through that list, and the one I circled was the Armstead contract because that currently the Jimmy G one's not a problem because there's an exit clause, so that's not an issue. You can bang that. That's no problem. You can exit that one. There's no exits out of that Armstead one, and that is gonna, that is. I tell you what it does. It stops you from signing Fred Warner. It stops you from. It's a disaster. It's a shocker. Whoever made that executive decision, also, and if it was the same person,
you might have to get fired. You might have to get fired. You might have to get fired.
You don't have to be fired because you might be really good at something like, say, play design or whatever it is.
You're saying, yeah.
Whatever it is, and that is it. That is your job. That is all you do. That's all you do. You're not allowed to do anything else. You're not even allowed to be in the meetings. You're not even allowed to discuss any executive decision making. We're going to find some other people who actually can do this, are capable of doing this. They're going to do it for you. You're going to be happy because you're going to have a winning team to play with, and everything's going to be lovely at the 49ers. It's going to be a winning culture. Now, Grant, I'd like to invite you, because you were the first one that I ever heard actually suggest the Tom Brady thing. I think you're entitled to make a statement here. Make the "I told you so."
I told you so. I said it first. I stood by it while you and all your fans told me I was crazy. And I really held my tongue all season, but now's a good time to say I freaking told you so. This was such a no-brainer. And I felt like I was in like Alice in Wonderland, having everyone say, no, it's just Tom Brady. Okay. Anthony, I got to run. It's almost 4 o'clock.
Awesome.
But this was terrific, and I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, I hope I wasn't over passionate, but that's the Niner fan in me. Hopefully everyone out there is sort of okay with it. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for giving me all the credit and giving me the opportunity to say I told you so, because I probably wouldn't have done it on my own. So thank you, and we'll be back next week.
Awesome. Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye,
Loved
everyone.
it.